Hi everybody, just doing a quick update on the new Arms Warriors talents. So I've just logged in and talents points have been reset, so I'm going to have a look at the differences. Okay, so we have here Shockwave, 15 level 15 months Shockwave, Stormbolt, both 4-second stuns, and Old Arm's favourite, Sweeping Strikes, which Mortal Strike and Execute will hit a second nearby target. It's just those two now, nothing else. I'm going to do that, but you can't be an Arms Warrior without Sweeping Strikes, so taking that. Right, impending victory. Slam has a 40% chance to resolve 10% of your health. Slam is now a core spell, so there it is, an action bell. So that's new implementation of impending victory. It's not an on-demand, it's a 40% chance. So it might not be there when you need it, but you might be getting a lot more heals throughout a fight by using it regularly if it doesn't have some sort of internal cooldown of diminishing returns. Doesn't say it there, but you never know, it might do by the time it goes live. Next one's Bounding Strike. That's basically replacing the old glyph of Heroic Leap or whatever that reduces the cooldown by 15 seconds, but it increases your run speed. So it combines the two. The previous one used to reduce the cooldown, but shorten the distance you could jump, or there was another one that didn't do anything to the cooldown, but when you landed it increased it for your speed, running speed, for 70% by 3 seconds. They've combined the two, so taking away, if you like, the crappiness from both and put the awesomeness from both into it. So it's pretty nice situational talent there. Die by the Sword is now a talent. It's not a baseline spell, so increases your parry chance 100% and reduces damage taken by 30% for 8 seconds. Replaces Defensive Stance. Oh, so that's a new one. Okay, so basically defensive stance will allow you 10% damage reduction. So those of us who play Warrior a lot, a DPS Warrior a lot, will know that, you know, sometimes high damage phases, defensive stance is your friend. You don't generate much in the way of rage, but it does help you survive through high damage phases as an extra CD. So it appears now that if we take Die by the Sword, we won't be able to on demand reduce our damage by 10% anymore using just defensive stance. We'll only be able to use a 2-minute cooldown, which will reduce it by 30% for 8 seconds. Parry chance thing is it's a bit meh because it's mainly PvP unless you're tending to AFK in Bladestorm, which does work too. So aside from that, I suppose situational again, but I don't know if I want to lose defensive stance's flexibility for a 2-minute cooldown. Next row, I don't know what I'm going to go for there actually, to be honest. I'll leave that blank at the moment. I'll look at the next row. Now the next row is Dauntless. It's a passive ability, and your abilities cost 20% less rage. Sounds good, that. It was nice to have abilities cost less rage. Depends, of course, how rage capped you are. And whether you can then get more damage from a decent rage dump. You can see later on you've got Heroic Strike down here, so let's see if that's our rage dump evolved back or not. Overpower. Old friend come back. Instantly overpower the enemy, causing 30,537 physical damage. Cannot be blocked, dodged, or parried. So always a good one for PvP. This to piss the hell out of rogues and such like, because you just couldn't avoid it. So you used to have to only be able to use it as after a parry or something, but that's gone. So overpower has a 60% increased chance to be a critical strike, which is nice. And any of your attacks have a chance to activate overpower. So it's a proc type of thing, which is nice. Only thing, I don't know if they changed it. Currently, previously, it was sort of considered rather lackluster as far as the damage was concerned. Of course, with a crit, it'd be 60,000 damage instead, but that's not exactly anything to write home about. So at the moment, it's not necessarily one that I would probably take over Dauntless. I think it's probably more useful at the moment. And then we have Avatar, old favourite here. Yeah, great raiding cooldown. Doesn't share tier with Bloodbath, which is gone. So basically, there's no is Avatar or Bloodbath better for this fight type of question anymore. It's Avatar. As far as having a increased damage phase every 1.5 minutes, again, that might be subject to reduction by using other abilities like anger management. You'll see later on, it's still there. So I think it's still a good one, to be honest. I'm not sure I'd take over power over Avatar, especially from a raiding point of view. Probably for PvP, yeah, but raiding, probably not. Even PvP, Avatar's pretty awesome, I would have thought. But anyway, I'm going to go for Avatar because that's too iconic, really. And going back to there, I'm going to go Bounding Stride. I've always found that very useful, generally. Second Wind, gain 6% health. So this is on a different tier now from Impending Victory. So you get 6% health every 1 second when you haven't taken damage in the last 5 seconds. So it's kind of hot and it's ticking continuously. How useful that is depends, I suppose. Taken any damage. What about bleeds and dots and stuff like that? I don't know how useful that'll be, to be honest. But sounds on the face of it quite good. Certainly for leveling and questing and that sort of thing. How will it work in a raid or PvP environment? Not so sure at this point. Double time increases the maximum number of charge by 1. This used to be a first tier talent choice among with Warbringer, and basically double time was what pretty much everybody used because it gives you 2 charges in 20 seconds rather than 1. But so yeah, it's a strong choice as a something that's a quality of life choice, but seeing Second Wind in there with its double time and imposing roar, which allows your commanding shout to also increase leech by 20%. There's more situational choice there, so that could be quite interesting in some situations to allow you to increase leech. I'll go with that. Okay, sorry about that. Back again. Right, next tier. Fervour of Battle. Cleave and Whirlwind generate 2 rage for each target they hit. This basically replaces a glyph that we used to have. Well, basically glyph sweeping tribes, using it on Cleave and Whirlwind. It generates 2 rage instead of 1, which is probably a little better, but probably only going to be any good when you're doing AoE type situations or cleave type fights. But then that is Arms' forte, so it could be used quite a bit. Next one is Rend. Now, one of our signature attacks has been moved to a talent. So you don't have to Rend. You don't have to babysit Rend on multiple targets anymore. Don't know quite how I feel about that, to be honest, because I quite like babysitting Rend. But anyway, it's still there if you want to take it, so causing damage over 15 seconds. There's no corresponding glyph anymore to allow this to generate rage from you, and seeing as Taste for Blood was one of our priority talents for Arms up until now, it's probably going to lose a lot of its attractiveness, having each time one of those ticks, especially with the forset, with the tier, making Rends tick twice as often. When you had that ticking up 3 rage on 3 different targets repeatedly, it certainly helped to bank the rage up. Without that being there, don't know. how useful that'll be in majority of situations. Plus, it also shares a tier with Bladestorm. Such a iconic and fun choice, especially when you're fighting 3+ enemies. Of course, if you're using seriously sort of raiding, most fights don't require you to use Bladestorm these days, but it's one that's certainly questing trash, and any excuse you can to use Bladestorm becomes something that's difficult not to pick over anything else. Any particular changes over there? Destructive Force, immune to movement, apparent loss of control effects. Can only use taunt and other offensive abilities. Okay, so you can taunt, and you can use other defensive abilities. So, okay, channeling Bladestorm does not prevent avoiding attacks. So that means, basically tanks and so on. I'm in arm spec now, so I don't know if what warrior prop warriors get, or if they even get the choice anymore. But it was you got extra parry from it, but so it doesn't prevent you from avoiding attacks. What should I go with? I'm going to go for Bladestorm because at the moment it's just questing, and like Zugzug said, Ragtag says, it's fucking awesome. Okay, Heroic Strike. There's your old friend back. Maybe I'm a bit unlike other warriors. I have to miss Heroic Strike immensely, I must admit. But it's back now, so it's there with a 15 rage cost, so it does obviously use up our rage dump as it once was. It's not on the global cooldown, but it does have a 1.46 second internal cooldown, which does mean you aren't exactly repeatedly spam it. Well, you can, but it's got a 1.4 second cooldown. Yes, it deals with 7,175 additional damage. Stacks up to 3 times. So up to 3 times give you extra damage. Next to it you have Mortal Combo. Mortal Strike has 2 charges. Well, I mean, I don't know. If Mortal Strike is as powerful as it is in WoD, this seems like too good to miss to me. Because Mortal Strike giving it 2 charges rather than 1, that's a lot of firepower right there, and that's very tempting. Titanic Might increases the duration of Colossal Smash by 200%, but halves its effectiveness. So longer Colossal Smash window, less armor penetration, basically. Don't know about that one, to be honest. Suspecting it might be a bit like the Glyph of Recklessness that we had all the way through WoD, and nobody could ever figure out a reason why you would ever want to use the bloody thing, because it was pants. So I don't know about that, to be honest. I'm probably myself not being a fan of Heroic Strike, enjoying the idea of 2 Mortal Strikes. I'm going to go with Mortal Combo. And here's our last tier. Anger Management. Well, there you go. We know what this used to be, but now it's every 10 rage that you spend reduces the remaining cooldown of Battle Cry by 1 second. Battle Cry, I hear you ask? Yeah, well, Battle Cry is no longer Battle Cry as such. It's basically Reckless, but they've decided to rename it Battle Cry. So let's have a look. Where is it? It's down here. They're giving it this funky new icon here. And it says, let loose a Battle Cry, granting your special attacks an additional 100% chance to critically strike for 5 seconds. So it's on 1 minute's cooldown. So with Anger Management, basically that 1 minute cooldown, every 10 rage you spend, you take off 1 second from it. So 600 rage to bring it down to 0 altogether. So, yeah, I mean, it can be quite a good one, I suppose. 5 seconds ain't long, especially for arms, where we don't exactly throw in loads and loads of attacks. But, yeah, I'm sure it'll have its uses. And it's a passive. Opportunity Strikes. Another passive. Your melee abilities have up to 60% chance based on your target's missing health to trigger an extra attack that deals 16,286
physical damage. So basically, it's multi-strike in a talent in a way. Higher chance because it's 60% rather than 30. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a passive, so it's 3 damage. Don't know, one or the other. Last choice is Ravager. But mainly pretty much the same as what we got at the moment. 1 minute cooldown, 2,943 damage to enemies within 6 yards every 1 second, lasts for 10 seconds. For me, it's got the same sort of advantages and disadvantages as Ravager has on live at the moment. Nice for big packs of ads or for very static situations. Pretty much horrible for everything else. Nice thing, but to be honest, Ravager for me, one I probably would have replaced with something a little bit less hit or miss. It's too many times you have ads, you have packs moved or knocked back or feared or just kited by the tanks out of Ravager after you just placed them. It's a complete waste for me. So never a talent I've been overly in love with. Still, I suppose that last one is a bit of a meh for me. I'm going to go with Anger Management, mainly because I want to see actually how, in practice, it does reduce the cooldown. So that's that. A specialisation as arms. Oh, look at that. Blank. Why is it doing that now? Well, here's your basic attacks. No icons as such, but there you go. Mortal Strike. Gloss of Smash. So, dealing and increasing damage you deal to them by 111% for 6 seconds. So you don't bypass their armor completely. It just increases the damage. This still refuses effectiveness of healing on the target for 10 seconds, which with a 5.83 second recharge could mean basically permanently. Slam. Tactician as a passive. Slam will, when execute, have a 20% chance per target hit to reset the cooldown on Gloss of Smash. So more targets, higher chance. Whirlwind, 3 targets, 60% chance to reset Gloss of Smash, and so on. Execute. Attempts to finish off a foe. Only usable on enemies that have less than 20% health. And Whirlwind. Which is an arms ability. Primary strength. So, just a quick look at the spellbook. Ariana's arms. Talented stuff, as you see. We have Cleave now, which is awesome. As arms, being able to cleave is fundamental to the way we work. So no more of this like sweeping slights is cleave. So ignore the fact that we actually haven't got cleave anymore, because you have. It's called sweeping strikes. No, we've actually got cleave now, and that's what you really want. You want Saurfang to cleave, and you want to cleave like Saurfang, which you're not. Commanding Shout, as you see, is slightly different. It's basically Rallying Cry. So let loose a Battle Cry, granting all party raid members within 30 yards, 15% increase maximum health for 10 seconds. After this effect, as well as the health is lost. So it's Rallying Cry, they've just changed it to Commanding Shout. Berserker Rage takes away Fear, Sap, and Incapacitate effects for 6 seconds. Battle Cry, as I showed you before. 0% chance to additional strike for 5 seconds. Charge Roots for 1.5 seconds still. Looked at. This is slightly looked at. Okay, Pummel, fine. Yeah, there you go. That's also silences for 4 seconds. That's your Balls of Valor, Hearthstone, sorry. That's a Slam. Super Chance I took. Victory Rush. So we still have Victory Rush. Okay, that's interesting. Fine. So you still get a victory rush, which means you do have that instant chance. But when you choose the talent for victory rush, you also get the possibility that your 20% chance, 40% chance that your slams will also heal for 10%. I can see that being quite popular. Jumping you up there. A bit like maybe Arms' answer to Bloodthirst or something. Okay, this is their mastery. Increases the damage your cloche or smash by 91%, causes it to increase damage you deal to the target by an additional 91%. So at the moment, it's all on cost to smash. Right, so basically then that's it for today. That was just a quick preview of the Arms Warriors talents and abilities, and next video I'll actually do a shorter one, just trying them out. But that's it for me today. Thanks for watching. Bye.